What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to yet another episode of Sheehan's World. I'm so excited to get the pod going, back going up again. I took a couple of weeks off, needed a little social media break, get my mental refreshed. So now I'm back. And today I'm back with a very special guest. Me and him, we go back to Assumption, college and university. You weren't there when it was university, but college. And he's been a very good friend of mine. I've always talked to him. He's always been very nice to me, stand-up guy, class act. And he went through a very long journey with himself. And I'm having him on today to discuss that journey because I'm very curious about it. So let's get to it. I'm very excited to have step into the world my friend, Colin McQuillan. Colin, how you doing, bud?
Shit, I'm doing well, man. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, bro. I'm excited. You're excited. It's going to be some great conversation.
Definitely.
So, Colin, I start this out the same exact way every time. I need you to tell me where you're from and what you're currently up to in life.
Of course, yeah. So originally from Medfield, Massachusetts, small town kind of by Foxborough, by Gillette Stadium. So that's usually the landmark I use. Right now I'm out in Worcester, Mass. And I'm working as an investment sales associate. So at Fidelity. So that's been
beautiful
so far. Yeah. Love it. Yeah, otherwise just doing the work at Fidelity, going to the gym and hanging out with friends. That's a bit about it right now. So
love that. And yeah, we love Worcester. We love the woo.
Yeah. Love Worcester, Mass. Yeah. Greatest place on earth.
Yep. The greatest place. Well, you bring up or you mentioned how you've been going to the gym. And what I wanted to bring you here today was to talk about this 75 hard challenge that you actually went through. So I want to start out by having you tell me, what is the 75 hard challenge?
Yeah. So the 75 hard challenge was made by Andy Frisella, who is the owner of First Form. It's like a supplement athletic company, basically. My roommate, John Ledoux, I know you probably know John, or you've bumped into him a couple times. He's really into fitness. It's always been his thing, and he kind of got me into it. But what it is 75 days, 2 workouts a day. One has to be outside. You got to read 10 pages of a book, nonfiction. Like it's got to be like a self-development book. Drink a gallon of water. No cheat meals. Stick to a diet of kind of like your choosing. So it's up to, it doesn't have to be like you're doing keto or some specific diet, but just staying in a caloric deficit, basically. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to remember if there was anything else. I want to say that's it for all the steps. Maybe I'm missing one, but yeah, that's the gist of the challenge itself. Got to do that for 75 days. So.
That's cool. That's cool. So you have to read a book. That's interesting. So that's basically just kind of build up your mental too as well, right?
Yeah. So Andy Frisella describes it as a mental challenge, actually. Like he doesn't take this challenge as like there's physical benefits for sure, right? But it's more about like hardening your mind and kind of getting in the right, mental state, staying disciplined. So like what books did I read? The Power of Habit, The Secret. I'm currently still reading, it's back there, Think and Grow Rich. So it doesn't necessarily, it can be business related, self-development, anything like that, but it's supposed to kind of help you with improving your mind, like you said.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
So when you started this challenge, what weight were you at?
So I had kind of gotten on my horse, trying to get in better shape in like November, but I just could not keep any weight off with like Thanksgiving and, Christmas and all that
Especially
stuff.
Thanksgiving.
It's never easy. So like, I think back in November, December time, I was like 285, and I don't remember like, I've never been one to be like self-conscious of myself or my weight. Like I definitely wanted to look better at points, but, looking back now, 285 is like pretty hefty. Like that for someone of my build. Like I get like Snapchat memories or see pictures. I'm like, man, Like you were a big boy back then. So I think the day I started, I was like 279, but I was a couple pounds heavier. I had lost a little weight right before we started.
So what are you down to right now?
So right now I've kind of evened out at like 240 to 245 is like where I go between. So the lowest I got was I ended the challenge at like 236 or 237.
Wow, congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. And then I actually got COVID like 2 weeks later, and I like didn't have an appetite or anything. So I think I got down to like 232, which was like crazy. Obviously that's not, healthy by any means. That was more because I was sick, but I've kind of found a good balance right now at like 240 to 245. But yeah, so that's where I'm at right now.
That's nice. Congratulations on that. Seriously. You're looking good, bro. For real.
I appreciate it. Yeah. It's crazy. Like how you notice like how much you feel better. Like at 285, like I'm walking up the stairs and I'm like not out of breath, but I'm like, sheesh, like thinking about it now, like, damn, you're like having a hard time with that. Like that's crazy. I couldn't run a mile straight for like a while up until I got like used to it again. But like stuff like that, you look back and you're like, man, like that was difficult back then. It's nice to be at a point where, you feel good all the time.
Right. So talking about like feeling good and talking about the mental in general, how did you feel as soon as you were about to start it? Like, was it like scary for you? Was it something that you were nervous to get into, or is it something that you wanted to get into and you were excited about?
Yeah, man. So, a little bit of both. John and I, so I did it with my roommate, John. He was kind of the big person to push me to do it. Definitely the person who had my back the most the whole time through all of it. It was nice. We had moved in about a month into doing the challenge. Moved in together, and that was like, we were just on our grind. Like we were kicking ass. Sorry, can I swear on this?
Yes, go ahead. Right. Let loose.
Cool. Yeah, we were kicking ass. But going into it, we had talked about doing it before for a couple months since college had ended, really. And we thought, the summer, like we both like going out and seeing people, and summer's probably not the time you want to start something like that. But going into it, I think in November, we said, right after New Year's, we're going to do this. And like, we're going to do the whole thing. There's like no option to quit. And I think at first I was like, man, like this is going to be like pretty hard. Like at that point, like a lot of people in quarantine, I think like you're just eating garbage and like not working out, and you're kind of down that you can't see people, and I don't know, you're bummed out about a lot. And
it was a tough time for sure.
Yeah. And I think thinking about it like that far ahead, like, okay, I still got a month and a half to get through. I was like, yeah, this is a little scary. And then New Year's came around. I was able to see some friends, kind of had like a big weekend, and we said like, this is like, get everything out that you need to right now, have your fun for the next few days. And then like, we are so laser focused. And I think the hardest part, or the scariest part, I should say, at the beginning was I didn't know how it would affect me socially. Cause like, if people were going out, like, I don't know if I wanted to like tag along to a restaurant or a bar or something like that. If I was just gonna, sit there and drink some water or like have a salad or something like that. Like, I don't know, if I go out, like I want to eat something that like, I'm not going to get at my house. I mean? So socially, I was worried how it would affect me, but I think the time, like the day came, and I remember it was January 4th we started. It was a Thursday. And I had to get up at like 6:30 to do a run as the first workout. It was like 15 degrees outside. And I just like got up and did it. And I was like, okay, like I can kind of like, that's the hardest part of my day right there. I hate waking up early. I hate running, but I just did it, and it's 15 degrees. I'm capable of like pushing this for a little while.
Right.
So
that's dope, bro. That's dope. So compared to other things that you have done in your life, what is the, I guess, the rating of difficulty that this was?
Yeah, man, excuse me, I think it's tough. Like if 10 is like it's definitely the hardest thing I've ever done. Like, I
Really?
don't know if I
Okay.
could rate it against anything else. Like I physically was pushing myself pretty hard. Like, yeah, I don't have anything that I could even compare it to where I would say I worked, that hard. But it was definitely difficult. Like there were days where it's like, I can't do this. Like you think about quitting, and having John there was like, okay, like I got someone else who's going through this with me. We can bounce off each other. But I think part of the reason the challenge was so appealing was like, I've never done anything that difficult.
Right.
And I had actually, it said to John like months before, like, I feel like I haven't done much. Like I'm 22, I'm leaving college. Like I feel like I haven't pushed myself like super hard. And so I feel like this was kind of the moment where I did that.
Can you take me through the process a little bit of what your regular day would be like with this challenge? Because I'm really curious about that.
Yeah. So started every day. Like I think I set my alarm for like 6:30, 6:45. I get up, go for it. So the two workouts have to be 45 minutes apiece.
Okay.
So I get up, the run, or I go for a walk. Some mornings was like non-negotiable. Like it had to be the morning. Like I couldn't put it off to after work. I couldn't do it the middle of the day. Like I told myself, like, the second you do that at a different time, like you're going to stop doing this. Like you have to stick to that. So I do the run or the walk at like 6:45, 7.
Hey, it's good though. It gets your day going too. Wakes you up.
Exactly. You feel great. You do it. You go, oh my God, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So I go and I do that. I come back, get ready for work. I'd go pick up a coffee, and then I'd work for the whole day. I'd probably eat my first meal at lunch. I'd kind of hold off and eat a bigger lunch. Work would end, go to work out. So either use the weights I had at my house my parents' house when I lived there, and then when I moved out, started going to a gym. So gym right after work, eat again after that, and then read right before bed. Take care of everything. I'd be drinking, trusty gallon of water all day.
Yep.
Making sure I knock all that stuff out and tracking everything I needed to. And then I was going to bed at probably like 9:30 or 10, which I kind of like to stay up late. So that was weird for me, but yeah, wrapping up the day early and kind of just locking in for the next day.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a long day.
Yeah, for sure. Longer than what I'd been, doing before. Definitely. I think the beauty of work from home is sometimes you can, wake up 20 minutes before work and shower and be ready to go at your desk. Cause it's, 5 feet away from your bed sometimes, but it was nice to get going early. And like you said, you feel good when you do stuff like that. You get your day started with something that's a little challenging. The rest of the day feels like it kind of flows pretty smoothly, I guess.
Yeah, it eases off a little bit.
Definitely.
So what is something that you have learned when it comes to consistency and having to stay true to, yourself and what you really want to do? What's something that you learned about yourself? What's something that you could probably even give as advice to people? Because, when there's probably times where people will start doing something like this and then they don't see progress right away. So they start to, kind of ease off a little bit and then stop. So like, tell me a little bit, like what's something that you could teach people or something that you could learn for something like this?
Yeah, man. That's a great question. I think I was like a pretty big dude throughout like high school and college, like, and I knew that. Like I would consider being self-aware like a strength of mine. I was very self-aware of like being unhealthy, but also, I wanted to change it. I always wanted to change it. I just would quit after, a certain amount of time. Like 2 weeks goes by and maybe you get stagnant and like, whatever, it's not worth it. Like, I'm just going to go back to doing what I was doing before. But on this, it was like a week went by and like doing everything consistently, like I was that guy who'd be like, oh, I'm being consistent. But like Friday, I'd have like 12 beers. Like, like that's not very consistent. Like when one of your days is completely off, like that throws a lot of things, out of whack. So I think what I realized after like 2 or 3 weeks, I was like, holy shit. Like if I keep this up, like I could seriously lose a lot of weight right now.
Right.
And like, I could be pretty a lot of the motivation behind this was like for health reasons too.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I could seriously be reversing, what could be long-term effects of all of this. So it really like I always thought there was like a secret, like there was like something that everyone else had that like let them keep pushing through, and it quite literally is just not stopping. Like you cannot like fall into the temptation of like, well, I could just call it a day today. Like what's the worst that could happen? Because like I said, I never really felt like I pushed myself a ton or like to this level where I did something that I would consider like great.
Right.
And when it's funny too, because it's like hindsight 2020. It's like, yeah, like I did it. So now I know like if I wanted to do something like this again, this is the work that it takes.
Yep.
But you really just have to be a dog about it. Like, I don't know if you've ever listened to David Goggins.
Dude. Oh, okay. Yeah. Keep going. That was actually going to be my next question for you.
Yeah.
Keep going.
He's got a great video where he does like all these Instagram videos where he's like running in like 100-degree weather with like a weighted vest on, and he's just talking shit to the camera. And it's awesome. And he talks about the dog mentality, and he's like, some NFL player went up to him. He's like, well, I hit the league and like, I just lost it. Like, I didn't really care anymore. I got where I wanted to go. And he talks about his dog, and like every day when he feeds him, his dog is always like, the food is here. I'm eating it all. Like it's mine. Like no one's touching this shit. Right. And that's kind of like what I zoned into. It was like, I have to be hungry for this every day, even if I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And like over time, like I started to see the results. And like, once you see them and they start picking up, you're like, yes, like this is like, okay, it is working. Like I'm doing something right. So I think that dog mentality of like pushing through, like when you think you're at the hardest part, you're probably about to break through. Right. Like halfway through, I got like pretty stagnant, and I was bummed. Like I wasn't losing any weight. I was like, man, like this kind of sucks. Like maybe I hit this point where it's just not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And John was talking with me. He's like, hey, we're going to switch a couple things up. We're going to try something different. And it was like a switch flipped, and it was back to business again. And yeah, man, I think you just got to push through. Like in that hardest moment, like you're probably on the cusp of doing something really great. So
right. Got to stay hard. That's exactly what he says, right?
Got to stay hard.
Stay hard, man. Yeah. It's funny that you brought that up, because my next question was going to flow into him. And what was kind of, other than your friend, doing with him, it's so good. Real quick, just a side note, it's so good going to the gym with like one of your close friends, because then you just push yourself so much harder. And it's like, you see your friend going hard, and then you're like, oh shit, that means I got to go like twice as hard as him. It's just like, it's so good to keep him, like to go with your friend. It's so nice. But, when you were doing this, I wanted to ask, what things kept you going? What things wanted you to keep doing this? And obviously you just brought him up. So what certain things about him kept you going? What certain things that you saw along the way you think that kept you going?
Yeah, man, I think I had a bit of a fire under my ass going into it in general. Like, some things that, have happened to me in the past year that we won't like delve into, but it was a tough year, man. It was a tough year from top to bottom. And I think I definitely hit my rock bottom And I thought to myself, like, shit, I don't want to be stuck here forever. Like, this is a not so fun area to be in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And when you sit and you mope about shit, like, you get to a point where you're just tired of it and you're like, it's not fun. So I definitely had some stuff that had happened previously that really fired me up to do something like this. But some of the biggest things that kept me going, like my mom, one of the, my favorite person in the world, she, was pretty concerned about my health. Like, and she had valid reason to be concerned. Like, I had like pretty high cholesterol for a 23-year-old or 22-year-old at the time. Like, that's like not good to have at 22. Like my doctors were like, if you keep this up, like you're going to be 45 and you're probably going to like have a heart attack. So like figure it out, like obviously they said it a lot nicer than this, but to me, I heard it as like, figure it out now or you're not going to, be around long enough to do it. So like, I probably made that a bigger point than it was in my head. I took that as like, okay, like this is life or death now. You got to do something about it. And I remember before it, like my mom getting like pretty emotional with me, like, hey, I'm concerned. Like, I want the best for you. You got to do something basically. And like, when you see your mom cry, you're like, shit, this is the worst thing in the world.
Yes.
Like,
the worst.
But you don't even know what to do in that situation. And I was like, okay, like I got to do this for her. I also wanted to do it for myself. Like just being like as big as I was, especially over quarantine, like gaining more weight. You're like, damn, like I never was the one to be like self-conscious of my looks or like, oh, girls are going to think like, this about me, whatever. But I definitely got to a point where I was starting to. Right. And I was like, all right, like you want to look good. You want to be healthy. A lot of people around you want that for you as well. So that's what pushed me through. And then like you said, you watch these people like David Goggins or like I love obviously he's in a different niche, but like Gary Vaynerchuk or this guy, Andy Frisella, who like started the challenge, like they're just talking about pushing and like working hard and like doing all these things. And I think you've got your close circle of people around you who've got your back and like, you want to do something for them. And you got these other people that are kind of I don't want to say the talking heads because like I actually like what they have to say, but like the external forces who you get some motivation from. But really in the end, it's like wanting to do it for yourself. Like you gotta want to do it for yourself. Like I tried to make the excuse so many times over the past year that like, oh, like I just got out of a relationship, so I'm just gonna like be a beast in the gym. Like, no, like it never works like that because unless you're doing it for yourself, like you can't impress like it's not sustainable if you're trying to do something like that to impress someone else,
Right. So, right.
In the end, doing it for yourself, and then you have all these other people around you who kind of motivate you to keep going along the way.
And you love one of the things I love about like those external voices or factors. Like I like to hear the negatives. Like I do. I like to hear someone say that you can't do it. Someone say that you're not going to get there. Someone say that, oh, do you think you'll be like, no, like it's good. I think that stuff is good because it literally does light a fire under your ass. It keeps you going. It makes you want to prove people wrong. It makes you want to prove things to yourself most importantly.
Yeah, man. And so it's funny you say that. Like, I put my goal like at the beginning. I was like, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. Like, I'm just going to super lofty. Like 50 pounds in 75 days is like, that's cutting it. Like, and doing it in a healthy way too, where I'm not like, I'm eating what I'm supposed to eat. I'm working out the right amount. I'm not like starving myself or anything like that. And I remember like people around me being like, are you sure? Like, I bet you could lose like 30 pounds, but like 50's a lot. And so part of me was like, all right, like, I know you're not doubting me in like you can't do it. You're just questioning like, how possible is that? And I was like, all right, I'm going to stick it to you. So totally what you're saying,
Yeah.
I didn't hit the 50, but I mean, during that time frame, but was able to like a couple weeks after. So that was cool, I guess. But.
Yeah, no, but dude, hey, it was very, very close. Like you should be very proud about that. Like you had a goal for yourself and you almost got to that goal. It doesn't mean that you failed, right?
For sure. And I think when you set a lofty goal like that, I don't know if you've ever read like 10X by Grant Cardone.
I have not.
Not a huge fan of Grant Cardone, but I like what he has to say in the book. He basically says, if you set this goal that's 10 times higher than what you think you can do, even if you hit 50% of it, it was still more than what you were expecting to do in the first place. And so that was kind of the thought process behind 50. It's like, okay, like realistically, I figured, 30 pounds is pretty doable for a guy that was my size, doing the amount of exercise that I was doing. But setting that loftier goal, it's like, okay, that's what kept me going in the last 2 weeks when things are winding down, and I'm like, oh man, like I'm 2 weeks away from a pizza. Like this, like that's what keeps me going in those last 2 weeks,
Yeah.
Gotta stick
goals are important, man. They truly are. Like setting a goal like that, it makes you hungry. It really does. And that's why it's so important in anyone's life. No matter what you're doing, you can be an artist, you can be a singer, you can be a gardener, whatever you do, like set a goal for yourself and it will make you want to fight for that. It will make you want to get to that point.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I wasn't a huge goal guy before, but I am now. Like, keeps you locked in.
It does. Yes, for sure it does. I want to ask you, when you got to the end of this and you were at the end of the 75 hard challenge, was it kind of like you were up on Everest looking down at the bottom kind of thing? Like you made it to the top of the world? What was that?
Yeah, man. It was tough because like, I think I had been so isolated in terms of everything I was doing. Like I was kind of just doing stuff with my roommates and not doing anything else. So it kind of just felt like another day. It's like I woke up, I was like, man, like, but at the same time, like it sets in like, holy shit, like I just did that in 75 days. Like the book. So there's a book on 75 hard and like the steps, and they kind of talk about like the last week is like, you feel like you're just invincible. And that's totally how I felt. Like I was just like so locked in. Everything was routine. My workouts I was crushing it. Like all that stuff. I don't think I realized like the magnitude of what I did until like a couple days later. And I'd like posted an Instagram just because I felt like someone could take something from this. Like, because people like, I think some people know that I've tried to like lose the weight before and I just haven't been able to, stick to it. I was like, you know what, like maybe someone will take something from this. And I got so much, like so many kind words and support from people that I hadn't talked to in forever. Like, hearing that from your best friends, like everything like that. Like I didn't realize till then, like, wow, like that was pretty exciting, and like talking with John, like we did that together. Like, that's cool. Like we had each other's back the whole time. Like, yeah, man, like at the end of it, I was kind of sitting there. I was like, I'm kind of a dog. Like
I'm a dog.
I'm a dog right now. Like this is pretty sick. Humbly, of course, not, I would never go out and be like, hey, everyone, I'm a beast. Like anything like that. But, internally you feel like I just did something pretty cool. Like,
right.
So I'd say in terms of like being at the top of the mountain, it was very much internally. Like, yeah, it felt pretty good. I tried not to, like talk about that stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't want it to be like a look at me type.
No, but it is a look at me. That's why I'm bringing you on the show. It's a look at me moment, bro. That's why.
I appreciate that. No, but I think internally I was like, yeah, I feel like an animal. Like I could do anything right now. Like,
legit.
I feel pretty good at the end of it. Especially then it's like, I think the funniest thing was, we had like our cheat meal after, and we were both kind of like, this is cool, but like, I'm kind of good with where I'm at right now. You know, you're so used to the routine. You almost, you're not worried about going back to the old habits, I guess.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Tell me about that real quick. Like that feeling of not wanting to go back to that.
Yeah. Like we were kind of like, we had pizza, I think, for like the first cheat meal. And we were like, all right, hey, it's pretty good. Like, not gonna lie, like tasty,
pizza hits.
I didn't feel like I like needed it. I wasn't sitting there like, oh, I need to just shovel junk food right now. And like, I think I can definitely see why that would happen.
Mm-hmm.
But like right off the bat, it's like, man, like I'm kind of content with where I'm at because physically you feel so good. Like you've been eating clean for that long. You've got like no brain fog. Everything is just, you're like laser focused,
Yeah.
And then I think like that weekend we finished on like a Wednesday or a Thursday maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That weekend like went out to dinner, had some drinks and stuff like that. And you feel like, didn't even go hard, but like you feel like kind of crap the next day. And you're like, man, like, it's actually nice to, not feel like that because you're treating your body right, eating good food and, drinking plenty of water and stuff like that. So I think at this point, I mean, by no means am I back to old habits. Like I still go out if friends are going out.
Mm-hmm.
Someone asks me to get dinner, I'm down with that. I just try to, do everything in moderation now and not let it, run wild. It's easy to, like, I remember before that was one of my downfalls. That's why I was as big as I was. It was like, hey, we're going out to dinner. And I just like shovel food. And it's just like, there's no, like to the point of like feeling like sick after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why do you like, I didn't need to do that. I probably would have saved myself plenty of time not doing that, And now I feel like my appetite's not as big as it was before. I'm not interested in like shoveling food like that. It sounds so funny, but I think it definitely rewired me a bit to not feel the urge to like, you have those cravings and you just go for it. So.
Right. And talking about David Goggins too, I mean, you shaped your brain. You shaped a new mental for yourself, right?
Yeah, man. That was the goal, just to, the physical stuff was awesome. Like that's the more noticeable for anyone who does it. That's what's noticeable, like physically how you appear, but mentally, like I still am definitely in a better place than I, was before in terms of, like you said, shaping your mind.
Right. Would you do this again?
Yeah, I think I'm going to.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I can see myself doing it at the beginning of the year for 2022.
Let's go.
Doing it again. I think post New Year's was like the best time I could have done it. There's not much going on after that. You don't feel like you're missing out on anything. And I also think having done it once, I know that, okay, like for the Super Bowl, if everyone wanted to go out to a restaurant, I could do it. And I wouldn't be tempted to have like, the junk food or beer or anything like that. Right. I could do it and I'd be able to go out and still be social and do my thing and stick to the challenge. So I could see myself doing it again. I've thought about that. I've thought about making it like a yearly, or at least next year we'll start and then we'll see how it goes. But doing it one more time at least.
That's so cool, man. I love to hear that, honestly.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So do you think like you'll try to get other people involved in this?
Yeah, man. I want to. I have people, friends, coworkers who have shown interest in it. I think it's like scary to even think about some of that stuff. Like you're giving up a lot of things that bring you like that instant gratification.
Yes.
Like that pleasure of like, man, before, like if I was stressed, like, okay, I'm just going to go get like a sub or a pizza because I know it tastes good and I'm going to feel better if it, after I eat it or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Same with people who want to go out. Like, oh, I want to go to the bar, but I can't drink. So like, I don't know if I could do that. You know, not from like they're reliant on alcohol, but they feel like they're in that situation socially. That's what they're expected to do is drink. They don't know, oh man, like what am I going to do? So I think those things are understandably scare people a lot. And I hope when I do it next, cause I definitely will, that I can get some other people to join in.
That's awesome. No, you're definitely the good person to lead that for sure.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully next time we can get a couple more, but.
Hey, but talking about, it being scary, like just talking about it and like seeing yourself do some of those things, like it's scary until you try it. And then, you actually see yourself doing it and you realize how capable you are of doing some things. And like with something like this, like the 75 hard challenge, like you were able to do this. Now, what's the next thing you could do? What's the next challenge you could take on?
Yeah, it's so funny you say that. I remember like probably 2 weeks left and I was like, what am I going to do after this? And I had like a lot of thoughts of like, what's next? Like I need to, like when you do something, like I said, that you feel is like great, like I did this great thing. You want another shot. Like, what's the next great thing I can do? It's like Tom Brady, like he wins one, he's not done. He's got to keep going. And like, you almost have that feeling of like, okay, like, what do I have to do now? Like,
yeah,
like I got to keep the train rolling. So we'll see. I've thought of a bunch of other stuff. Like part of me thinks like start with a half marathon, maybe, because I hate running, like push myself a little bit with that.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But we'll see. It's infectious. Like once you do one thing, you're like ready to keep grinding,
Right. Turns you to a beast. Literally it does.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the goal at least.
Right. So we're coming towards the end of the show here. We've actually been having some good conversation, but I want to ask you one more question in all, I don't know if I've asked you this yet, but what was your favorite thing in all of this? And throughout the whole journey, what would you say would be your favorite thing about it?
Yeah, man. I think doing it with my best friend was great. It's like we can share that and like we had each other's back. I think personally, I just felt like so good all the time. Like I felt so clean. I'd wake up every morning in like a pretty good mood. I think it gives you an appreciation too for like, like I'm capable of this. Like you build up that like, I think swagger's like the best way to describe it. Like
I got my swagger back.
Yeah, exactly. We listen to that video all the time. But like, that's how you feel. Like, okay, like I'm crushing this right now. And it's nice to feel good about yourself. And feel like you're doing something great and feel like healthy and not foggy and you're ready to wake up every day and like attack the day. Like in the end, we're all looking to be happy,
Right.
And it definitely brought me a lot of happiness doing it. So that was probably the best part.
It makes me happy that it brought you happiness.
Like
legit.
Yeah, no, it was great. So
that's
hopefully
awesome,
you'll
man.
join me next time.
Hey, maybe I will. I mean, I'm trying to gain weight. I need to put on some weight. I've been at like the same weight for like years. I mean, I've put on muscle and stuff like that in the gym, but
yeah,
damn,
start bulking up.
Yeah, bro, that's a struggle that's been a challenge to me is trying to bulk up. I mean, I have such a fast metabolism. It's just like I could eat like I'll eat like 3 full plates or something, and then it's all gone within the hour. I'm like, I can't keep anything on. It's so tough sometimes.
For sure.
But hey, that's part of the grind, right? trying to find a way to get to that goal.
Definitely.
So we're actually coming towards the end of the show. I wanted to thank you so much for stepping into the world. This was such a great conversation. I think that when people listen to this, it's going to, motivate them and inspire to start their own things as well. So I really appreciate you for coming on.
Thanks, man. I'm really happy we could do this. This was a great conversation and I was looking forward to it. So glad you could that I could make it on, and thanks for inviting me.
Of course, bro. We're gonna have to do it again sometime.
For sure.
If you do another challenge, come on and talk
yeah,
about the other challenge.
Round two.
Yeah, round 2 for it. Real quick, can you tell me where people can find you on social media, wherever you can plug whatever you want in here?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at ColinMQ54, ColinMQ54, numbers 5 and 4. Yeah, we'll just plug the Instagram for now. That's all I really use these days.
There we go. Everyone, you can find me at Sheehans World Pod on Instagram. You can also find me at 401 Sheen on Twitter. The Sheehans World Pod on Twitter, I don't really use so much. So find me on 2 of those. But in all, this is the end of the show. I wanted to thank you all for tuning in and to stepping into my world. And Colin, thank you so much again for coming on here and telling me about your journey with this 75 hard challenge. I really appreciate it. It was awesome.
Yeah, thanks again, brother.
Of course, bro. So until next time, everyone, peace out, and hope to have you step into my world next time.